I had some really pretty pictures set up for you guys, but it looks like we won't be able to do that. All right, well, thanks everybody for coming this evening. My name's Zach Witmore, as was announced. I'm the chair for the Provo Bicycle Committee. And basically what I'm doing here this evening, well, I was invited, and we were really grateful to be able to be invited and be able to share with you guys what we as a bicycle committee do, and just a few of the issues that we run into in Provo and some of the benefits of bicycles in Provo. So the Provo Bicycle Committee, we've been around as an official organization for the last 9-10 months. But even so, we've been able to accomplish a lot. We are officially recognized by the City of Provo. We've worked hand in hand with Mayor Curtis on a few different projects, and we've worked with the City Council as well on a few different projects. It's been really a great thing to see Provo really step up its game as far as safety and compatibility for bicyclists in the city. And the great thing about bicycles is it's not just about the bicycle. As was mentioned in the introduction, transportation is more than just one mode. So we don't want to get thinking in our heads that bicycles are the answer to everything. Well, that's my personal philosophy. It's probably not the truth. So that's the great thing with Provo, working with us, working to have complete streets, working to have livable communities. And we'll get to those definitions in just a little while, for everybody who might be new to that. But with the city, what we've been able to do over the last 8 or 9 months is we've been able to institute a new master plan for bicycles and pedestrians in Provo, which Provo's never had before. And this plan is part of the master plan of Provo, which means every time that they put in a new road, every time that they fix a road, every time that they do any of those things, they have to now consider the bike lanes that are on the map officially. And overall, it will add about 66 miles of new bike lanes and trails, making Provo to have a really great connected grid of bicycle trails, and making roads like 5th West or University or even 9th East a lot more safe and a lot more accessible to more citizens. And we're actually already seeing, that was only implemented in June or July, and we're already seeing work being done. On 1st and 3rd South, they're actually tearing up the road, putting in some new utilities, and as a result of that, they've torn up the road, they're going to repave, and so they're actually going to strike new bike lanes on both 1st and 3rd South. So really exciting things on the front of Provo City working with us to really make Provo a place we all want to live. And that kind of brings us to the idea of livable communities and complete streets. These two words, they're really popular right now with different city engineers throughout the country. They're really popular with a lot of congressmen, and they're really popular with urban planners and designers. But really what it means is making a place that we all want to live. Making a place that's safe to walk to the grocery store, that's safe to ride your bike to your friend's house, that's safe to take your kids to the library. And this idea has been catching on a lot lately. I think as a result also, we saw a few years back, we saw a spike in gas prices, and we saw a humongous increase in ridership nationally. And even in Utah, we saw a humongous increase in ridership. And as a result, these words have been bubbling to the surface, and there's a lot of people that are really interested in them. And that's also one of the objectives of the Provo Bicycle Committee, is to make a beautiful place in which we live. And whether we live here for 3 or 4 years, or whether we live here for a lifetime, Provo is a beautiful place, and we obviously all live here. So it's a place that even if we're only here for a few years, it's a place we're all going to want to be able to enjoy. And so that's kind of the main goal of that idea of complete streets and livable communities. Also on that note, we try to do a lot of community outreach, community activities. We participated with I don't know if you guys know, the Provo has a Bike to Work Day during Bike to Work Month, which is May. And the mayor will take a group of cyclists around, and they'll all go ride bikes. And we participated in that this last go around. And actually in that week we had a few other events. We had a bike and movie, which yes, it's as fun as it sounds. And we watched an old cycling film from the 70s called Breaking Away. Great film. Yeah. And there we go. And we also had a bike barbecue, which is also as awesome as it sounds. We didn't barbecue a bike, but we strapped a grill to a bike and rode it to the park. And we had it was raining, and we had like 40 people show up. It was a really good turnout. It was really great. One of the other things that we use with the Provo Bicycle Committee is we have this idea of connectivity. I think a lot of us, especially the younger generation, we tend to connect online. We tend to connect on Facebook, and these things that, to me, have no real connection. And so there's such a large base of cyclists here in Provo, we just don't know each other. And who here owns a bike? Who here rides a bike once a week? Just once a week, who here rides a bike? See, there's quite a few of us. And so, but I bet that all of us don't know each other, you know. And so the idea with the event that we came up with, and we titled it Provello. And it's a mixture of, obviously, Provo, and then the French word velo for bicycle. And the idea was, so bicycling, Provo bicycle. And the idea was to get a group of cyclists together and just make a meeting place once a month where everybody can get together, where we can all get to know each other, share ideas, eat good food, just have a fun time. And it very successful. The last one we had of the season, we had about 60 people turn out. We had everybody from, you know, the hardcore fixie kids to the guy that toured across America 2 times on his bike to the mom that rides her kids to the library once a week. It was wonderful to have this melding of real people, real cyclists. It was really great. I actually had a picture, if you can imagine, close your eyes and imagine. When we have these Provellos, we also do a thing called bike jousting. And what you do there is you stand on the back of a bicycle, and there are special bicycles. You stand on the back of a bicycle and you actually joust. And it sounds a little extreme, it sounds a little dangerous, but we've had every imaginable type of person do it. And the last Provello, there was actually a 6-year-old and 8-year-old, 2 little sisters, you know, and their mom and dad rode them, and they had fun. So it was a blast. So just something fun that we do. So outside of what the bike committee does, and outside of that idea of connections, there are 2 things in Provo. There's a lot of things we can talk about with bicycles as kind of a solution. You know, a solution for a lot of things. You know, the annual average cost for owning a car, whether it's gas, you know, everything involved, the annual cost is about $5,000. And whether that $5,000 comes every year, or that $5,000 comes, you know, in a 10,000 spurt when you have to buy a new car, but over the course of a lifetime, it's about $5,000 a year to own a car. And the average cost of a year it takes to own a bike is $120. You know, so we could talk about economics, we could talk about finance. I mean, we could talk about how bicycles, you know, usually the best answers are the simple answers. And I find that true in a lot of things. That's why I love the bicycle, for the simplicity. And we could look at the obesity epidemic, the health epidemic we see going on in the United States, and it's kind of gripping the world as well, but definitely in the United States. And we could look at how, you know, riding your bike 5 miles a day, 3 days a week, you know, you burn something like 10,000 calories. But the 2 things that I think we should really focus on that I think hit home the most and are the most pertinent, especially with the season we're coming on for the first, are air quality and space and accessibility. I had to remember. It was on my PowerPoint, so I couldn't remember. So with air quality, what we're talking about there, I'll give you a little anecdotal idea of air quality. So I'm from Las Vegas originally, and about 4 years ago I moved to Provo. For my first winter's coming up, and I'm really excited to ride in the snow, because honestly, the only thing I've ever done in the snow is I threw a snowball once, you know, before I moved to Provo. And so I was really excited to ride in the snow. And so, you know, the weather's getting colder and colder and colder. And I think it was late November, and I woke up in the morning and it was just freezing outside. There's no snow, just freezing. And it was really, really thick. I couldn't see my neighbor's house out the window. And I'm like, this is awesome, there's fog. I've never ridden my bike in fog. I'm really excited for this. And so I jump on my bike, and I'm like, you know, going. I'm going to UVU. And as I head up the hill on University, I start having a hard time breathing. And I'm like, man, I'm out of shape. I was like, this cold's kicking my butt. And so I work through it, and I push, and I should have just slowed down, but, you know, I'm not going to let the hill beat me, so just keep going. And I get to school, and I'm feeling horrible. And a friend of mine saw that I'd ridden my bike, and he asked me, "Why did you ride your bike today?" I'm like, I don't know, I ride my bike every day. Why wouldn't I ride my bike? And he says, well, it's the inversion today. The inversion's really bad. The air quality's like red. And I'm like, what's the inversion? Well, I ended up getting sick from that experience. I was sick for 3 days, and I missed 2 days of school and 2 days of work. So I got a lot of time to study the inversion. And turns out that in the wintertime, there are times when Utah's air quality is the worst in the nation. And we're talking Wasatch Front, so Utah Valley, Salt Lake Valley, the worst in the nation. It's so bad that the EPA suggests you shouldn't be outside for any longer than 15 minutes. That's bad. So we're basically making it so that we can't even leave our houses. I mean, we're making prisons of our homes or our business. And that really struck me. I was like, this beautiful place, and I can't even go outside, I can't breathe, you know, it really struck me. And so the bicycle, and I'd like to go into that more but we'll just end with this on this note. The bicycle obviously is a great vehicle to break through that barrier. You know, if all of us were to replace one car trip a week with one bicycle trip within a 2-mile radius, I think overall monthly Provo itself could save something like 1 million tons of CO2 in the atmosphere. And that's a big deal. You know, and a lot of people ask me, they're like, oh, do you ride your bike because of the environment? No, I ride my bike because I love bikes and I'm passionate about it. But if we are going to talk about the bike and we are going to talk about the environment, you know, we could speculate about global warming, we can speculate about peak oil, but we can't speculate about the amount of pollution that happens when the inversion sets in. And so the bicycle really is a vehicle for being able to literally clean up Provo. The second point that we can look at is space and accessibility. Well, space and accessibility had a great picture. So actually, can you all hear me? You can all still hear me. I have a loud voice usually. Here's the words. Oh, well, just real quick. So just picture on the screen, we've got 3 divisions, okay? And here we have 60 people, 60 people, and 60 people, all standing in a street, okay? So the 60 people here, it shows how much space it takes to transport 60 people in a car. And this entire screen is full of cars on this whole side. You can't even see to the end of the street. And this one here is a bus, and there's a bus sitting there, and then you've got about 1 Salt Lake City block of space completely open with 60 people standing by a bus. And then about the same for the bicycle as well. And it's a really strong picture to see just 60 people, how much space it takes just to transport 60 people, let alone park those 60 people, and let alone, you know, have access to all the things that those 60 people are going to want to do. And, you know, Provo is a small place in comparison to a lot of places, but we have a few more than 60 people in Provo. And so it's something that we really need to think about. And especially in Provo, again, I'm from Vegas, so we have wide expanses of desert where we can just keep building out and out and out and out. But in Provo, we've got a lake and we've got mountains. There's nowhere really for us to go. So we really have to start thinking about this idea of space and accessibility. In one car spot, you can park 12 bicycles, you know. So bicycle definitely is not taking up as much of that urban space. And again, all of these points, we could go into them with greater depth. We want to leave enough time for everybody else. So to kind of polish all these thoughts up, if you get online, I had an email or an address and everything. If you get online, there's a website, it's called the 2-Mile Challenge, and it's just a 2, so 2milechallenge.com. And if you get on there, you can type in your address, and it'll plop down a point at your address, and then it'll give you a circle of 2 miles from your house. And if you were to 40% of the trips in the United States, and it's actually more than that in Provo, it's about 55 to 60% of all the trips in Provo are made within a 2-mile radius of the house, and 90% of those trips are done by car. 2 miles on a bicycle, you can almost always beat a vehicle, because you have to get in your car, you got to warm it up, you got to get going, you got to park, you got to walk to where you're going. With a bike, you jump out the door, you jump on, you go to where you're going, you lock out front, and you walk right in. You know, so it's worth checking out, and it's kind of an eye-opener as to how easy it really is to replace a lot of our car trips with bicycle trips. And then I'll just read off a few things for you. I actually have cards for a website. It's a Provo-based website. It's not directly linked to the bike committee, but I think it's actually on your piece of paper. It's bikeprovo.org. And if you all check out bikeprovo.org, they keep up on all the cultural aspects of bicycling in the valley and nationally, and all the events and everything that go on. So it's a great resource. You can find us on Facebook, Provo Bicycle Committee, Provo Bicycle Committee on Facebook. I guess there's not a URL for that. And then you can also contact me directly at zach@provobc.com. And any one of those ways is a great way to get involved. And at the very least, I mean, if you don't have internet, if you don't have time, if you don't want to take the time, just ride your bike. That's the best thing that you can do for the efforts that we're making and for the efforts that many people are making in many different areas of the valley. And when you ride your bike, just ride your bike like a car. That's what I try to tell people. Ride going the right way in the bike lane. Ride, make sure you signal your turns, because those are the things that are going to help building the bicycling. Those are the things that are going to show the city council, they're going to show the mayor, they're going to show other citizens of Provo that bicycles are a serious form of transportation. So thanks for the time, and yeah, that's all. Thank you.